Hello, and welcome to Pilgrimage in Faith, a Lenten Journey with the First Baptist Church of Medford, Massachusetts. Each week of this pilgrimage, we will reflect on a different aspect of our faith journey, preparing our hearts in this holy season of Lent for the joy and celebration that await us in Easter. But we are not at Easter yet. There are still days to wait, prayers to pray, and miles to walk. This is a time of preparation. Before we welcome our special guest teacher today, I invite you to pray aloud with me the words of Psalm 130. As we do, we will also hear a musical reflection on this ancient and holy prayer. May your pilgrimage in faith this Lent be a blessing to you. And as we walk together, may you find the strength to be a blessing to others. We pray now the words of Psalm 130. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, Lord, who could stand? But there is forgiveness with you, so that you may be revered. I wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in his word I hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than those who watch for the morning, more than those who watch for the morning. O Israel, hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is great power to redeem. It is he who will redeem Israel from all its iniquities.
Thank you for joining me to explore the rich tradition of Semana Santa, or Holy Week in Seville, Spain. With its piety, pageantry, and penance, this is perhaps the ultimate Lenten observance. Holy Week in Seville is a unique deep dive into centuries-old Catholic spirituality, elevating Holy Week into the pivotal point of their Christian year. The experience for a Christian not of Catholic or Spanish heritage is riveting, often magically compelling. I've been lucky to experience Semana Santa 4 times, and it never gets old. Since the Middle Ages, robed and hooded penitents have walked in Holy Week processions, often by the thousands. They do this to experience the emotions of Christ's sacrifice, suffering, and eventual redemption. The penitents' hoods assure privacy to practice their own penance. Today, Semana Santa is observed in some form all over Spain, but Seville is the throbbing epicenter of tradition and participation. 80 churches, humble and grand, join in carefully organized Semana Santa processions. As Holy Week progresses, they literally take over Seville's historic core, walking to, through, and from the world's largest Gothic cathedral. Each church has a brotherhood, these days including women. They care year-round for their special passos or floats. Each passo represents a particular scene from the gospel descriptions of Holy Week. They process at a strictly orchestrated day and time. They leave their churches in what often seem like flowing rivers of penitence, following their passos to walk to the cathedral and back. Some people carry large wooden crosses. Some walk barefoot. They don't stop for meals. The hoods prevent a strong flow of fresh air. When the weather is hot, this can be a grueling experience. Depending on the location of the church, some process for miles, some solemnly walking for hours with scant refreshing water. It is said that 200,000 of 700,000 residents of Seville participate in a brotherhood. That is impressive. In addition to the passos and the penitents, there is music. There's a special genre of Semana Santa music to announce and accompany passos of the Virgin, and another style for the Christ passos. You often hear sighs and expressions of beautiful, beautiful when the Virgin passes. The music, when there is a band, is haunting, with drums, woodwinds, and horns. There's also a special devotional flamenco lament called saeta that is sung a cappella by a single male or female voice when a paso leaves or re-enters its church. The crowds fall silent and the devotion is palpable. At 2 a.m, it can feel hair-raising. Tradition and history mix effortlessly. The oldest brotherhood from La Silencio Church dates back to the 14th century. Several passos date to the 17th century. Many floats are elaborately coated in silver or gold. Some are magnificent carved wood. Some have multiple life-size figures telling the Passion story, including plumed Roman centurions atop horses, or figures of Judas kissing Christ prior to his betrayal. There is always a grieving Virgin passo under an embroidered canopy and surrounded by hundreds of fresh roses or irises and long, flickering candles. The Virgin passos are carried in a way that makes the figures seem almost alive, leaning toward the spectators, shedding tears, reaching out to share her grief. Often, her richly flowing robes are elaborately hand-embroidered with silver or gold thread. Sometimes they are simple, cotton with a multicolored woven sash. They are always beautiful. The Virgin is usually solo, but one brother carries a passo of the Virgin, surrounded by Mary Magdalene and John the Disciple, deep in conversation. It usually takes 30 to 40 brawny men of consistent height to carry the passos. There is a well-honed art to carrying, setting down, and raising the passos in perfect harmony. They can only be carried several hundred yards at a time due to their weight. And getting the passos safely in and out of narrow arched doorways in ancient churches is dramatically exacting. The passos are mostly focused on Christ's Passion in various scenes illustrating Holy Week scriptures specific to the day of the week. One allegorical exception is a stunning 17th century memento mori, complete with a skeleton sitting on a globe, head in hands, pondering his fate, next to a writhing dragon with a large red apple in his mouth. Semana Santa processions start on Palm Sunday with La Borriquita, a beloved passo showing Jesus astride a donkey, surrounded by green palm branches and figures of little children, as he rides on toward Jerusalem. Uniquely, this procession has hundreds of penitents who are children, not adults. Prior to processing, families come to that church with their children to revere this passo, singing folk songs and telling stories about Jesus leading the small children. Once Semana Santa commences, there are multiple processions each day and often late into the night. They snake through this glorious small city in a carefully choreographed ballet of vivid imagery and personal penance. They fill avenues and winding, atmospheric, narrow streets. Thousands of people line those streets into the wee hours to watch the processions. It could be 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. Always crowds. This is not a party scene. Sevillanos know their tradition well. They have their favorite passos, and they often visit multiple churches during Holy Week to see the passos close up before their time comes to process through the packed streets. The period from midnight on Holy Thursday through 4 a.m. on Good Friday is called La Madrugada, or the dawn. The honor to process during this time is reserved for the most revered important churches. One, the Basilica of the Macarena, out by the ancient city walls, literally processes for 13 hours to, through, and from the cathedral, with 2 elaborate passos, 2 bands, and thousands of penitents. On Good Friday, images of the crucifixion are prominent. One church processes with a solemn 17th century crucified Christ hung on a plain wooden cross, draped in flowing white burial shrouds. After the intense activity of Holy Week, Easter Sunday feels almost like an addendum, rather than the penultimate celebration of new life and salvation. The Church of the Resurrection has the only procession on Easter Day. The Brotherhood carries 1 passo of Virgin and 1 passo of a single risen Christ with a golden halo. There's so much to experience in Semana Santa with its vivid imagery, telling the story of the Passion of Christ, and much to be moved by when you're among thousands of Christians who so treasure this Lenten tradition.